Chapter 1. RSVP. The invitation looked like a decision dressed as stationery. Thick paper, silver edges, our names in a font that refused to slouch. Evan and Claire. Not my Evan, not my Claire, but I knew both names like the inside of my own pockets. Once, Claire and I had dated for 6 months that felt like 12. The ending was quiet and believable. Different ambitions, different speeds. We orbited the same friend group after that, each of us careful with the choreography of almost. Evan came later, my college roommate turned co-conspirator in adulthood. Good man, safe hands, or so I wanted to believe. When I RSVP'd, I wrote joyfully accepts and meant it with the part of me that still trusted paper. Chapter 2. The first voice note. Can you listen? Claire asked, late on a Wednesday. She'd sent a voice note titled Vows_draft_1.m4a. I put in earbuds and heard the old kitchen echo of her apartment, then Claire's voice, careful, a little breathless. Evan, I swear to love what is true in you and to protect it from the rush and dust of the world. It was good. It was almost good enough. You're rushing the verbs, I texted. Give each promise a chair to sit on. She laughed at herself halfway through, then without meaning to, said my name instead of his. I promise. Noah. The air after that was a canyon. Then, delete that. I will, I replied, thumbs heavy. I did not delete it. I wasn't saving a weapon. I was saving a fact. Chapter 5. Best man, worst timing. Evan asked me to be best man. You're the only one who knows the older versions of me. Make sure I don't lie in my vows. I said yes, and the yes tasted like loyalty. He hugged me hard and I smelled the life we'd built, coffee, sawdust from his side gig, the detergent of people who fold on time. 2 days later at his place, he airplayed a playlist for the reception. His iPad was slow to switch accounts. For a breath of time, Claire's messages slid onto the TV. Is it weird that I'm more myself when I'm recording with him? Don't say that, Evan replied. Just finish the notes. I will. I'm trying. He noticed my face before he noticed the screen. Old text, he said, quick and wrong, and fumbled the connection closed. My loyalty leaned to one side.
Chapter 6. The Confidant. I told my sister. She's the kind of person who listens with her eyes, not her mouth. Do you want to stop a wedding? She asked. I want them to be who they say they are, I said. She nodded. Then don't detonate. Illuminate. How? Ask the truth to sit where everyone can see it, she said. And don't narrate. Let it speak. Chapter 7. Rehearsal dinner. Rehearsed lies. The restaurant had the kind of brick wall that begged for a slideshow. I arranged the AV, because of course I did. Photos from childhoods that had somehow already forgiven us, Polaroids of college chaos, a predictable crescendo into coupledom. Claire hugged me before it began. You saved me with those edits, she murmured near my ear. I don't know who I am without a second take. You don't need one, I said, and meant it. Evan clinked his glass and made a toast about community and patience. He looked happy, like a man who had negotiated with the future and found it reasonable. I watched the playlist titles scroll. One of them read, Vows_mix_down_final_final. It had my fingerprints on it. Chapter 8. The file I didn't want. I hadn't hacked or stolen. Claire had sent the notes to me. Evan had mirrored his own screen by accident. What I had was a room full of people who would leave tomorrow believing in something that could not carry their belief. I added one file to the end of the slideshow. Not an ambush, not a montage of shame, a minute and 40 seconds that sounded like hesitation, clearly. My sister texted from across the room. Sure? No. I typed. Necessary. Chapter 9. Play. The last photo faded into applause, the kind of gentle clapping you hear when people are proud of being gentle. Then, the The screen went black. A title card, audio test, polite laughter. Claire's voice filled the room, clean, close. Evan, I swear to love what is true in you. Breath. And to protect it. Longer breath. Then the take with my name. Just the slip. A few seconds. The little echo of a kitchen that was not a cathedral. I stopped it before the canyon. The room had already heard enough. I replaced it with a clean piano instrumental and the restaurant's soft clink of plates. Evan stood, confused, then very still. Claire didn't move at all. Her chair did the moving for her, scraping a small truth across the floor. She said, "Outside, to no one, and to me." Chapter 11. The Alley. The alley smelled like oranges and rain. Claire leaned her back against the wall, eyes shut. "I asked you to delete that. I asked you to edit you brave. I did both as best I could. You think you saved him or me?" Her voice was not angry, it was inventory. "I think I saved tomorrow from being something you didn't intend." She opened her eyes. "I didn't intend any of this. That's the problem. Intention doesn't do the dishes." Chapter 12. The Other Truth. Evan came out with the kind of walk men use when they're trying to borrow time. He looked at us like you look at a mirror you're not ready for. "Is there more?" he asked. "Yes," Claire said, and the word carried weight like wet fabric. "But not the kind you think. I didn't sleep with him. I used him, his ear, his edits, his history with me, because it was easier than saying, 'I don't know why I'm afraid.' I asked you if you were," Evan said. His voice was more tired than wounded. "I was," and then quieter, "and I wasn't." He turned to me. "And you?" "I wanted both of you happy. I was wrong about how to want that." He nodded once. "Thank you for not burning the building down. Just the lights." Chapter 12. Canceled. They didn't marry the next day. The venue sent a sympathetic email that read like a funeral for a cake. Families called and texted and tried to fold chaos into paragraphs. The group chat went quiet, and then loud, and then quiet again. I walked the city until my feet translated thinking into distance. Chapter 13. Fallout. Measured. Claire moved into her cousin's place. Evan stayed with me 2 nights, then went home to a house that still held the smell of decisions. We ate eggs at 2 a.m. and didn't pretend to sleep. He didn't ask if I loved her. I didn't ask if he hated me. We made a couch into a map and navigated by saying small, true things. Who would call the caterer? Who would text the photographer? Who would keep the playlist for a day when music didn't sound like a verdict?
Chapter 14. The letter she wrote. A week later, she sent me a letter on paper that didn't pretend to be special. "Noah, you heard the part of me I keep in the dark, the half that wants to script bravery instead of learn it. I don't know if I ever loved you the way I needed to, or Evan the way I promised to. I know I used your ear as a shelter instead of a mirror. I'm sorry. I'm applying for the grad program I told myself I wasn't good enough for, not to outrun this, but to grow somewhere that requires intention. If you keep the files, keep them as a reminder that people are not finished drafts. C." I folded the letter into the envelope with the RSVP that had lied politely. Chapter 15. The job that arrived. Work called. A museum needed an audio producer for a small series about quiet rooms, chapels, libraries, studios, places where sound is an act of faith. It was 3 months of work and 2 months of learning to hear without judging. The first story we cut was about a luthier who tuned silence before wood. "Most people want their instruments loud," he told me. I want them honest. I understood. Chapter 16. Coffee with Evan. We met on a Saturday at a cafe that didn't allow laptops, a small act of civic courage. Evan had shaved the beard he'd grown for the wedding photos. The new face looked good on him. "I'm not angry," he said. Or, "I'm angry at the right things now." "Me too," I said. "I thought about marrying her anyway and deciding to be happy after. That used to work for me, with jobs, with apartments. How's that going?" "I have great references and bad furniture," he said, and we both laughed. He lifted his cup. "To better furniture," he said. "To honest rooms," I replied. Chapter 17. The Call. Claire called once, months later. The kind of call where the first sentence is the reason. "I passed the interview," she said. "They asked me to read something true I'd written. I read my vows, the ones I didn't use." "How'd it sound?" I asked. "Like a person who can breathe," she said. "How are you?" "Learning to stop editing myself," I said. "How's that for irony?" We didn't promise to meet. We didn't promise not to. We let the call be what it was. Proof that people can keep moving without dragging each other along. Chapter 18. The Gallery. At a small gallery opening, I met a photographer who shot windows the way saints looked at altars. We talked about frames and how they can lie if you ask them to carry more than they should. She didn't ask for a story. I didn't offer one. She bought me a seltzer. I bought her a notebook. We wrote nothing in it, which felt like a pact. Chapter 19. A different kind of vow. I wrote vows anyway. Mine to myself. Not for romance, though I hoped there would be some eventually. For mornings. I promise to say what is true while it is small. I promise not to audition for a life that does not want me. I promise to let silence be a chair, not a punishment. I promise to leave rooms that require me to lie to stay. I taped them to the inside of a cabinet. Every time I reached for a glass, I reached for a sentence. Chapter 20. Play again. On a Sunday, the museum exhibition opened. In the last room, we installed a simple interface. 4 buttons, 4 spaces, 4 recordings of quiet that weren't empty. People pressed the buttons like confessions. Some cried, some laughed at themselves for crying. Most stood still and listened to what they'd brought with them. I stood in a corner and watched a teenager close his eyes at the sound of a library morning. He exhaled the way a person does when they've been holding their breath since September. I thought about a kitchen echo, a slip of a name, a rehearsal that taught us what we couldn't perform. Chapter 21. Epilogue. No music over this. There's a temptation in stories like mine to paste a triumphant soundtrack over the ending. I won't. The truth doesn't need violins. It needs a room and the decency to let people decide what to do after hearing it. Sometimes I still listen to Vows Draft 1.m4a. Not often. I don't need to hear hesitation to remember it exists. I keep it the way you keep an X-ray, a record of something you once had to acknowledge to heal. When people ask me if I regret pressing play, I tell them I regret how long I waited to choose the honest version of help. I tell them that love without intention sounds good on speakers and bad in rooms. On quiet mornings, I put the kettle on and let the steam write small stories on the window. I don't rehearse what I'll say if the past calls. I have an answer already.